Welcome to the Extraordinary Yoga Teacher Summit, created by Great Energy. My name is Christopher, and I'm honored to be co-hosting the summit with Daniela Hess. The Extraordinary Yoga Teacher Summit is here to uplift and empower yoga teachers with the depth, steadiness, and skill that transform students' lives. Today's session is with our featured teacher, Nischala Devi, whose wisdom and experience offer so much to this path. Nischala Joy Devi is a masterful teacher and healer. She is highly respected as an international advocate for her innovative way of expressing yoga and its subtle uses for spiritual growth and complete healing. Her dynamic delivery and deep inner conviction empower each individual. She spent 25 years as a monastic in the Vedic tradition under the tutelage of Swami Satchitanand and other great yoga masters. Blending Western medicine with yoga, she developed the yoga portion of Dr. Dean Ornish's program for reversing heart disease. She also co-founded the Commonweal Cancer Help Program. Author of multiple instructional recordings and books, including her landmark interpretation of the Yoga Sutras called The Secret Power of Yoga. Her latest venture is to make the Bhagavad Gita more accessible and relatable for Western women. Applying the same principles as she used in the Yoga Sutras, the Women's Gita podcast is heart-centered with feminine-based parables. Nischala Devi's teachings reflect a heart-centered perspective of spirituality and scripture. Welcome, Nischala.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm already present to wondering what is a parable that right now feels so alive in you that you would say, wow, if every yoga teacher could hear this feminine-based parable, it would be this one. Would you share what one feels so alive and juicy right now for you?
Nothing really pops up as a parable, just the idea that it's time for the feminine to fully manifest. We've seen what the masculine does. Give us a chance to see what the feminine will do. That's how I feel about it. So I don't know of any specific parables, but there's a wonderful one as far as giving that's, I think, in the very beginning of The Secret Power of Yoga. If you'd like me, I can do that. It's the Wise Woman's Stone, it's called. And there was a wise woman, and she had found this beautiful gem, and she took it back to her place of residence and covered it and held it very sacred. And one day, someone came along and saw it. And this man came and he said to her, I see your gem. I want you to give it to me. It should be mine, not yours. And she immediately opened her sack, took the gem out, and handed it to him. He was so surprised, he just took it and ran. And she went on with her day. A few days later, he came back and she said, oh, you're back. Why is that? He said, here's your gem back. She said, why are you giving it back? He said, I want you to teach me what it was in you that so quickly gave it to me without any hesitation. What do you have in you that's so strong and powerful that even a gem is worthless? And I think this is the beginning of the Yoga Sutras, the way that as yogis, we begin to think that nothing material comes into us that disturbs in any way our view of the light of the true self that we are moving toward. So that's a parable that has stayed with me, and many people have commented on it, because can you give things away? If someone, it's in the Bible, isn't it? If someone asks for your coat, give them your cloak also, right? So here it's this, what is this? This aparigraha, this ability to just let go of things because you know that what you have in you is much more beautiful than anything else. And that, to me, that's what yoga is, finding that beauty and going with that.
Thank you. That was really beautiful. Can you describe a little bit about how the feminine and heart-centered teachings in the scripture um, came to life in you through your journey?
I guess would go back a long, long, long time. This is not new. I've been like this most of my life, always questioning, why are things like this? Um, uh, and when I left the world and moved into the yoga as a way of life for myself, I realized that there were way too many ways that the world was taking us. They were taking us in so many directions, especially women. When I looked around at all the traditions and all the religions, I saw one thing in common: the absence of women in high positions of spirituality. They just weren't there. And when I started going to ancient traditions, the Wiccan traditions, et cetera, and seeing that they honored the woman, I came to a different conclusion than many other people might have. My conclusion was that the women were so powerful that that's why they were afraid to bring them in. It's not that they didn't have the power. It's that they were so powerful that there was a fear that if they let the women take over, what would happen? So I started a very masculine path. The path that I chose was very masculine, the path of sannyas, up until Swami Shivananda, which was very recent in the 40s or 1940s or 30s even. He was the first one to even allow women in the order. So it was a very male-oriented, but my job was to change that, to help it become a little bit more oriented. So when I was teaching, I started to use the books, but change the things that I saw. So if I saw something that said is something in a negative way, for instance, there's a sutra that Saucha, and it talks about having disgust for one's own body and other bodies also. Well, as a woman and as a medical practitioner, that didn't work for me at all, because that's not what we do. We just take the body in whatever state it's in, clean it up the best we can, help it heal, and move on. There's no disgust. When a woman changes her baby's diaper, she doesn't tell them how disgusting they are. She just changes it and moves on. So I started to tweak all this, and the students started to say to me, look, you're doing all this. Why don't you put it in a book? And at the time, that wasn't popular, women writing books in any form, let alone yoga. It was still a very male-dominated, I won't call it a profession, but a milieu. And so this was something that I took on, had no idea how it would work, and had no idea the amount of criticism, and I'm going to say criticism / fear, that I felt from my male colleagues, that if this actually referenced people and talked with people and people understood this, would it destroy the rest of what they had built? And I didn't care. I went ahead and published it anyway. I figured if a publisher is willing to take it, I'm willing to go with it. And the rest is history. Women love it. Men love it. Get a lot of men that like it, because it takes away the things that we've all moved away from our religions because of. It takes away the guilt. It takes away the striving. It takes away the negativity, the punishment, the idea that if you don't do this in a certain way, it's going to come back to you and hurt you and or hurt others. It's all that is taken away. It's in a life affirming. How can we go forward and how can we realize who we really are in the midst of our everyday life? Not withdrawing to a monastery, but living that life. Is it possible for us to do that? So that's really where this all came from. And then, of course, I continued because people were now seeing their own empowerment. And that was the whole reason for it in the first place, the empowerment of the individual. So they started becoming more and more engaged in it, and that makes me very happy. Yeah.
Thank you. Through your lens, what would you say is an essential quality that our yoga teachers who are here with us right now, that they continue to cultivate for themselves so that they can continue on their own journey, their own personal journey of growth and evolving, and be of greater and greater benefit to their students?
Yeah. You know, I think it's extraordinary becoming a yoga teacher. I really do, because you're really you're doing something that's unusual. Normally, if we embrace something, so for instance, art. Let's say I decide I want to study art. Well, I would study art, but I never think of becoming a teacher and teaching it until I would get to a certain level of mastery, and then I would teach it. Yoga teachers, it's very different. They don't get to that level of mastery necessarily, but they have a heart's desire to share with people what they have learned and how it's benefited them. I think that's why many teachers go into, or students become teachers, because they just want to share. I got so much out of it, I want to share it with other people. But one of the things that we don't take us into the professionalism that perhaps we could is every other profession, and I know we have some CEUs, but every other profession is constantly going ahead and learning more about it. I know from a medical standpoint, which I was in for many, many years, you don't have a choice. If you don't get your CMEs, if you don't get your CEUs, you're out of a license. That's it. Finished, gone. So the teachers have this, and the Yoga Alliance has tried this, and now IAYT. But the thing is, we have to go for things that start to broaden us in other ways. For instance, if you always teach asana, don't take continuing education courses on more asana, because then you're limiting yourself. And when your students then are able to take in more, for instance, they may want to do pranayama, they want to do meditation. You don't have the skills to take them there because you haven't been practicing it. I always advise people, don't teach anything that you don't practice. Because yoga is different from, again, teaching history or art or whatever, in that those teachers don't build up what we call Shakti. We need to build up Shakti. When you teach a class, when one teaches a class, you're not just spouting words. You're not just saying them, get into downward dog, get into upside down poses, whatever it is, inversions. What you're doing is literally imparting some of your spiritual practice into those practices. You're infusing them. That's the difference between a yoga teacher and a math teacher. Yeah. And the only way to get that strength and that power is to do the practices yourself. And even if you teach only basic asana, you can still keep going up. Learn the scriptures, learn how to meditate, learn pranayama, learn how the subtle body works, all those things. So I think this is where we tripped. We forgot. We didn't understand that it's the power within us that teaches them. And the more we learn, the more the students come and the more they want to learn. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Ab-
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned learning the sutras. So I just want to bring attention to everyone that's here with us right now that one of the beautiful free gifts that they get to receive from you is, and the link is below, it's an opportunity to receive the free weekly sutra. So can you describe a little bit about how this
Yeah.
gift really benefits the yoga teachers, perhaps refreshing their posture in the sutras or feeling into a new passion or awakeness in them?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because when I published the first edition of the Secret Power Yoga, which was, I think, around 28 or something, 2008, something like that, I realized that not everybody, A, could afford it, and B, would be interested enough to spend the money in that way. Um, Even though they could get a movie for the same amount. It's anyway. So what I decided to do is offer people one sutra a week, free. So it's one sutra with one line of commentary, and then the sutra is repeated. And we call it the Free Weekly Sutra. It's been going on for quite a while, and people go through the sutras and then they go through them again. Um, because if it comes into your inbox Monday morning, you're more apt to read it than to pick up a book. It's right there in front of you. You read it, and if you're a teacher, you can even teach that at the end of your class. Use that as part of the end of your class, a thought for the day, etc. So we started doing this, and we thought, okay, we'll see how many people are interested. And then when I published the second edition, we added, of course, the last two padas, and people resubscribed. We came on. So it's just something that is there for people to help them learn. It's a little bit like flashcards, but in a computer way. So every Monday you get a new sutra and you can just read it from that. Totally free. No strings attached. The only string I guess I'm attached to is I want people to learn the sutras. That's all I want. That's all I care about. Yeah.
Is there a particular sutra that currently, not like one kind of a favorite sutra, however, is there one that you feel very present to and connected to right now?
Well, I think probably the one that talks about how the cosmic energy, the energy of yoga, is there both for our ultimate liberation, but also for our enjoyment. The world is there for our enjoyment, and I think sometimes we forget that. And so I love that. It's for the realization. So that's what I do every day is I put energy toward that. But have fun. Don't forget about having fun. And I think people forget about that. We get very serious, especially in spirituality. People get so serious, and it's really not that necessary. You can realize yourself in fun ways too. I mean, there's a lot of precedents for this too. There's some great spiritual teachers that were very funny. And Nasruddin, for instance, I don't know if you ever heard of Nasruddin, mullah. He was a mullah, a great Sufi mullah, and he would make jokes with his students all the time, all the time, and just teach them that. He played the fool, but I always say he played the fool. There's a big difference than being a fool. And yeah, one great Jnana Yoga, I'll give you a really short one. Great Jnana Yoga. The knock at the door one night. Nasruddin opens the door. It's the police. The police at the door. And they look at him and they said, "Can you identify yourself?" He said, "Just a moment." He came back. He brought a mirror looked and he said, "Yep, that's me." Right? So if you take that even further into Yana Yoga, that's what it is, right? So that's how he taught. So having, we just were in Egypt, and there's an amazing, um, maybe a parable, or maybe I don't know exactly what to call it, but there's a it's a picture of the pharaoh who had just died, and he's in judgment. They're judging whether he can go to heaven or to another place that's not so nice. And how they do that is they take out his heart after he's dead. He's already dead. Get his heart, and they weigh it against the weight of a feather. And if it's heavier than a feather, he doesn't get into heaven. So it's a lesson, and I have it hanging up, but it's a lesson to me to be lighthearted. Just be lighthearted. You can do both. And I think lightheartedness also helps us get into the wherever we go, heaven.
Thank you. I grew up with my mom, no matter where I was going. I could be going to the dentist, and she would always send me off in life, and she would say, Danny, for God's sake, have fun.
Wow.
I know. Is that so? And I didn't get it at the time, but it has become one of my favorite sutras.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you can't have fun for you, for God's sake, don't bore God. Like, give God a great time.
That's so wonderful that she did that, and how we forget. And, we get into this person's suffering, which that's compassion, that's great. But they won't suffer less if you suffer. A matter of fact, I always feel that it's my responsibility to be joyful for the people that can't be. It's like eating. When you eat, you bless the food for the people that don't have it. So, yeah, be lighthearted. Yeah, be lighthearted.
Okay, let's imagine now that every yoga teacher on planet Earth, the millions of them that are currently teaching yoga, they're going to receive the following message from you in closing, from your heart right to theirs. And what message do you have for them?
These are yoga teachers? Yoga teachers?
Yeah, yes. Every yoga teacher on planet Earth currently, and student of yoga lovers. Right from your heart to theirs. This is the Extraordinary Yoga Teacher Summit, and may all yoga teachers feel
So no pressure. Just
no
put
pressure. No, no, no.
I think what I would say to all of you is, first of all, be lighthearted and know that every single person that you see, teach, or become is the divine being within them. No matter how they act, no matter how they show up, no matter what they do. And if you have the ability to go past all the stuff to their heart and see the small flame or light in it that's the same as yours, your life will always be wonderful. And that to me is yoga.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a joy to be with you for this conversation. And I know you've brought great gifts here for all our participants. And thank you.